Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Funhaus Podcast. I'm Armando Torres, and today I'm joined by three wonderful guests. Across from me, we have Patrick Brown. Over here, we have James Willems.
My name is James.
And we have a special guest with us.
Vengeance.
Yeah. Holy shit.
Hi, I'm Vengeance.
Justice. The answer is justice.
Whatever.
We have Ryan Vengeance, the Batman Haley.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yep. Next question. What do you want from me?
So we are here to do something slightly different than what we normally do on Funhaus Podcast, but what we used to do on another podcast that
Shall not be named.
And got the axe. Patrick.
Nothing to do with that. I was
As
never.
soon as
I
you
don't even
joined
think I
us,
was
you said,
ever on an episode.
I'll only join you if you get rid of that podcast. Were you never on an episode of the Funhaus Podcast?
Hey.
I don't
Sorry.
think so.
You must have been. You watch
Can't
movies
name-
all the
Really
time.
don't think I was.
Oh, well.
You were, because we did Fast 9 together. Or F9. Yeah.
Maybe I was in like the last.
The fact that you don't remember is the right call.
Okay.
Yeah. But we've all heard there's been some people that have been asking for it and some people that don't give a shit. So we decided that we wanted to talk about The Batman, which is a movie that came out pretty recently.
It's the biggest movie in the world.
Yeah, it's the
Currently.
second highest grossing movie of 2022 so far.
I mean, yeah, it's not.
What's the first?
It's
That
March.
I didn't look up.
It's
but
March.
But I will look it up right now.
You
It's
didn't
March
look
and
up
not a
what
lot
the
has
first
come
one
out.
is. You knew it was the second, but it's not the first.
I knew-
It's probably Spider-Man, right?
I have to assume
Did
that
that
it's
come out?
Spider-Man.
No, but
This
it's
year?
probably still making more money than anything else.
That's true.
Welcome to Film House.
You don't think it was Dog?
Hey,
Could have
you
been
fucking
Dog,
watch
yeah.
yourself.
Sorry. I'm Vengeance.
Is it called Power of the Dog or just Dog?
yeah.
Well, Dog is a different movie.
Dog is Channing Tatum
Channing
going on a
Tatum.
road trip with a dog that's going to the funeral of the man that it served in Iraq with, right? Isn't that it?
I've not seen it, but yes, that is. I believe the plot of that
Iraq,
movie.
but
You're
I
right.
think
Yeah.
it's he served at war with this guy. The guy died, but the dog now has to go to the funeral. But the dog only takes orders from that guy. And so when Channing Tatum is tasked with bringing the dog to the funeral as per the guy's wishes, it's wild. It's wild.
I hear it's
adventure.
powerful.
You shoot the
power
dog
of
up,
dog.
full of drugs, tranquilize the son of a bitch, get him
know,
on,
yeah, what's the-
get him on a plane, fly him to the funeral. He
Yeah.
wakes up,
He doesn't know what happened.
boom.
You want that
Easy.
dog juiced.
Sure.
Opposite
Hell
of juice,
Well, fuck it.
tranquilizer.
Yeah.
So I was actually wrong, and this is because it changed apparently since last night when I Googled it. But The Batman is currently the top grossing movie of 2022.
That's what I would have thought.
And number 2 was Spider-Man, No Way
Mm-hmm.
Home. Number 3 is Uncharted. So
Uncharted.
Makes
Yes,
sense.
a movie that came out.
So
Yeah.
no. when did Spider-Man come out? Because
Wasn't
it was
it
last
November?
year, but these are just still people going to see
November,
it.
yeah. I know someone who
so-
saw it for the first time within like the last.
I
week
mean,
or
that's
two.
pretty impressive.
Mhm.
Well, I like that plan because I did want to see this, and I wanted to see Spider-Man,
Mhm.
but I just going to see this. It reminded me of how annoying a super crowded theater is.
Oh, are we
my
giving our
God.
opinions now?
yeah,
Not even like the
Just a-
COVID thing. Well, I'm just talking the
Oh,
experience.
the experience.
I don't really like mine.
You hate people.
I'm in a pretty good space concerning COVID,
Uh-huh.
where I've had it and have all 3 shots. So
Yeah.
it's like
Mhm.
I've got a few months of pretty
Mhm.
good, solid immunity. I feel like.
yeah.
So I'm not even like that uncomfortable with that aspect of it. It's just like so annoying being in a fucking theater full of people again.
No.
So,
I
I
love
know
it. That's
you-
the best part of the movie.
I do too for some movies.
Yes.
It's
Yeah.
a very valuable thing for some movies. This, I just wanted to see.
Well, you're there all day, 3 hours.
That's the other thing.
Fuck that.
Here's
And there's like teen girls behind me literally moaning when Robert Pattinson comes on screen.
Ooh.
Yo, it sounded like the couple next to me was having sex
Yeah.
during the first hour
I mean,
of
there's a
that
lot-
fucking movie.
This
There's
movie
a
did
lot of-
something to some people.
A lot of sexual energy in
People
that.
are
yeah.
excited to be at the movies. We're all having orgasms
I mean,
just walking
we'll
into
put
the
it
first
out.
act of
somehow
the film.
orgasms feel great in a place like
Yeah.
this.
I've got all of you beat because, as it was made known on Twitter, that Robert Pattinson was at my screening.
Yeah,
That's true.
right.
He was moaning in the back.
Robert Pattinson was there. So you want to hear some moans?
Yeah.
Robert Pattinson got
He-
some real moans.
Was it like Elvis? He walks in, and then
I don't know
just
what you
creams their
heard, but
pants?
Robert
Smaller.
Pattinson was gone the second the
He
lights
said
went-
he was going to be gone.
Oh,
He
okay.
came
He
out.
made that clear.
He said, "Thank you all so
Got
much for coming. I'm so excited for this. And he goes, because this is the last thing I have to do for press for Batman." And I went, I respect that. And then and he said, "I hope you enjoy the movie. Let's get a sequel." And they started throwing hats at people, and then he was gone.
He flew away
And
like
I
a bat.
guarantee you, I mean, that movie was 3 hours, but like he was in bed by the time the trailers probably
Oh, of
started,
course.
whatever.
So my theory, by the way, for the theater thing is like one, I think I forgot how bad it was to watch movies in theaters. Like it's always been.
What
'cause
is wrong with you people?
I love watching some movies in
disruptions.
theaters, but sometimes it's just like, bro, I don't want to like. Sometimes I would go watch movies. I remember the first time I saw 3 billboards in a movie theater.
First time you saw that movie more than once in a theater.
it's
I
his
saw
favorite
that
movie.
movie.
Bunch of teen boys moaning every time Francis
Robert
McDormand comes on
Pattinson was
screen.
there.
Yeah.
But like, there was the first time I went to see it in a theater, I went and it was like a month or whatever after the movie came out. And I was really excited to see it. And there was like 2 other dudes who were also really excited to see it. And then there was a couple who bought a ticket because they knew it would be empty. And they straight up fucked in the back. They were just fucking in the back
I
of
don't
the movie
mind that
theater.
level of
that
disrespect.
sounds like that's texture.
I went when I saw
You're
Clerks
lucky.
2 in theaters.
We saw which 2?
Clerks 2.
Clerks
in
2.
theaters.
Okay.
Pretty early in its run, and we were in an empty theater on like a weekend, I think. And there was
You had sex in the
it was
theater,
me,
Clerks 2.
my friend, and then 4 people behind us. And the movie, like the projector was fucking up, and like 30 minutes in, they were smoking cigarettes in the theater, and it was
See, that's
it was
badass.
hilarious. That was funny.
That's
But
badass.
if you take it to that level,
No, it's
I'm
the-
on all in.
If you do something that
crowdedness.
gives you cancer, that's badass.
It's the crowd, and you're
Yeah.
hearing people eating.
It's
and-
the
Yeah.
communal.
The eating doesn't bother me. Having actual, there's a lot of times I've been in movies where people will be like, something will happen, and someone will go, "What does that mean?" Shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
I don't like
but
that.
then the thing at my screening, it was generally pretty good for a crowded showing, but there was a guy. So as I mentioned, Robert Pattinson was there, and a guy freaked out, like 2 rows in front. Yes, yes, and
Oh
cheering
my
for him,
God.
begging for one of those hats. He was so into it, and then after Robert Pattinson left, the movie starts. It says the Batman, right? Big, whoa, let's go, let's go. Probably 45 minutes into that movie, he checked his phone to see what time it was.
Yeah.
And then proceeded to do so 5 or 6 more times. And I was like, you don't give a shit. Like,
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. My theory is like one, I think everyone forgot how bad it was just because there is a lot of fun aspects to seeing movies in a movie theater.
I agree.
But 2, I think a lot of people got really used to just being full-on scumbags, being stuck at home watching movies by yourself,
Amen,
and you're
Ray.
kind of stuck into that kind of thing. I'll be honest
Yeah.
with you. I bet. I mean, I don't want to throw you under the bus too, but there was a couple times where I started watching. During the movie was like, man, I could really go for being high right now, and I just vaped in the back of the movie theater.
Hey, go for it.
Yeah. So like, part of it's on me too, but
It's just like so nice. I've gotten so used to watching shit at home, and like the last thing. So, Jackass Forever, amazing to see in a theater.
Uh-huh.
10 out of
Fucking
10.
perfect.
Only way to do it.
Everyone's screaming and laughing, and everyone's loud.
let's go.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was there.
Perfect movie to see in a theater. That is like the greatest thing. I like the Marvel, any superhero thing. I feel like now is so much more annoying to see in a theater than it because it's just like. Anytime something that you know
It's a
is
party.
But-
you know it's gonna happen from the moment you walk into that theater that like he's gonna pick up a hammer or whatever. And everyone's just,
It feels like it's people who've never seen a movie before, and that's what drives me crazy.
Yeah, it's fun.
exactly.
I hate it.
You know, like
It's so
like
annoying.
that childlike.
No.
It's too childlike.
No, 'cause
it's too. It's like simpleton
I
child.
saw West Side Story in a relatively empty theater, and there's
So did everyone
a
else.
spoiler. At some point at the end, someone shows up with a gun.
Let's go.
Earlier in the movie, you see him pick up a gun, and then he reveals it at the end because he's going to shoot someone. He revealed this gun and then pointed it at someone, and then someone in the front row or near the front row went and gasped.
Well, wasn't that fun?
No, it wasn't fun.
Why?
Because what do you think the gun is for? And it's West Side Story, it's a movie based on a 50-year-old movie,
Yeah.
which is based on a 400-year-old play, which is based on a 500, 600-year-old folk story. Like,
This was their first time to experience
Yeah.
it.
they were,
They didn't need to name the character Chekhov. I believe that was a little
well, yeah.
too far. But I there's a lot of parts that I really love seeing movies in theaters for. Like, I don't know, anytime something funny happens and you get to, I don't know if you've watched like, sometimes I'll watch movies that are genuinely very funny at home, and when I'm watching something at home, the best reaction that a joke will get from me is like a and when you only get that, you notice that they left in a couple seconds for where they assumed a whole crowd of people would laugh.
Yeah.
And it's very awkward. So when you get those moments in a theater, like when everyone fucking busts up laughing, like it's amazing. I love that. So I see both sides, but
You're all movie snobs, all of you.
Well, let's see.
That hate people.
Because aren't we here to
Well,
talk
you're a
about?
we
theater
are here to
snob,
talk
right?
about
Yes.
we are here to talk about one movie in particular, one 3-hour-long communal experience that we all went through separately. We all saw the Batman.
The Batman.
The Batman.
The Batman.
That's what I said.
Duh.
Sorry, I had
No,
this
that-
thing stuck in my throat the whole
Okay,
time. I
yeah.
just got it out, so
Oh my
Oh,
so
God.
you're
good to
You
talk.
feel good now?
I think there's something
Thank you.
beautiful
Oh my
about
God.
you being the one advocating for going to see things in life like with other people.
Uh-huh.
You keep going, what's wrong with being around other people?
well, you know, I just cleared my throat. Now I don't have that Batman
No,
voice.
I know.
It was so annoying.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so now we're going to talk about the Batman
Yeah,
and
we
how
are.
we all of our opinions on it.
Yeah.
Okay, how do we do that?
Go ahead.
Do I start?
Yeah.
I don't want to start.
I'll start. I loved it. I thought it
Good.
was far and away my favorite Batman movie that I've ever seen.
Are you serious?
I'm very
Is
serious.
this a joke?
This
It's
is
not
it.
a joke. It's
But
not a joke.
I don't.
Oh my God.
I don't.
I know.
I don't enjoy a lot of superhero movies,
Uh-huh.
so I'm not like
Neither,
the
I
person
think,
to
do
maybe.
any of us.
Yeah,
I'm just saying, there's an Adam West one where he fights a shark.
With spray.
Sure.
You need to bring
Yeah,
that
with
shit
an aerosol.
back.
I think this
That
movie was
anti-shark
exactly.
bats,
Sorry, what was it?
Nothing. Don't worry about it. He has a spray that he uses to fight off the shark, but I think it
He
is
takes it from a wall,
bat anti-shark spray.
and he takes it from a wall of sprays with like an
Yeah, different
octopus,
scenarios.
a squid.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
all sea beasts, but
yeah, it
It
also
feels like
has a
put
way,
those on a belt and have
that
all
movie
of them.
Also
Yeah.
has a way better riddle in it than any of the ones in this movie. So
I
the
should
rules suck.
I will say off the top is that this is probably going to include some spoilers in it. So if you haven't seen the
I mean,
movie,
it would have to, right?
yeah,
well, we could just talk about the first 2.5 hours and then. we
Oh, that's a
will
good
spoil it.
point. That's a good point.
I really like the movie.
What other Batman movies have you seen?
I've seen a lot of them, probably most
But
of
not
them.
all. Oh, okay.
Batman 1989,
That one, yes.
Batman Returns,
Yes.
Dark Knight,
Yes.
Dark Knight Returns,
Yes.
or whatever.
Dark Knight Rises.
Rises.
the
Batman,
third one.
just
Batman
skips-
Begins,
Yeah.
Two of the hottest ones.
Yeah,
ever.
Batman
yeah.
Forever.
Thank you.
Yes.
Batman and Robin.
Yes.
So you've seen them all. All right.
Hold
okay,
on.
then
Justice
yeah.
League.
Justice League.
No, yeah.
Batman v Superman.
I didn't watch any of
Justice
the
League Snyder
Affleck
cut.
ones.
What about the
Okay.
Frank Miller cartoon one? What do you call it?
Dark Knight
Dark,
Returns.
Dark Knight Returns.
Dark Knight Returns. That
Yeah.
one I don't think I did.
Okay.
I also watched The
Have you
Killing
read
Joke.
any Batman comics?
Yeah.
Killing Joke. You got Killing
Which
Joke
ones?
in there. Okay.
The Killing Joke.
Killing
I also
Joke?
read the comic for that one.
Adam West Batman original.
You haven't seen
Cesar
the Adam
Romero.
West film, though.
I haven't what?
You haven't seen the Adam West film. Some days you can't get rid of a bomb.
Yeah.
That's a line from it.
Potentially no.
I'm just curious. I'm just trying to get your Batman background.
Okay. I think we got a good background now.
I think
we know who you are.
Of all of the different Batman movies I've seen, this one gave me exactly what I wanted, which is that
Jesus
there is a
Christ.
mystery that is happening and he becomes a detective to solve the mystery.
Kind of.
I feel like
I feel like,
guess.
yeah, most of the answers are
Kind
given
of.
to
Yeah.
him by
That-
Alfred. and-
yeah. Okay. So I think
I
this-
get it.
I think because we talked about this and we kind of plotted this out because
Mm-hmm.
we all are on different sides, kind of the. Well, not all. I think Patrick and I are pretty much aligned, which is going to be fun for me.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Someone to agree with.
Yeah.
But yeah. Okay.
I really love the movie. I also, and this is where I already knew that I was going to make the three of you mad, is I saw it last. I saw it last night.
Okay.
I am mad.
Yeah.
Why would that make me mad?
No, that's
what-
not what made you mad. Patrick told me that towards the end of the movie, every 25 minutes, you're going to feel like it's ending. But it turns out that like you still have an hour left.
I don't
to
think that was me.
go.
I think that was Lindsay.
Maybe. Yeah. But you guys all talked about like how long it was and how
Yeah.
you kept thinking it was
Yeah.
going to be over. And so the first time that I thought like, I feel like this movie is ending, I checked my phone and I was expecting there to be like an hour left or something. There's 10 minutes left in the movie. It was definitely ending. I didn't feel like it was too long at all. I really enjoyed it. There was parts that could have got cut out. I feel like it could have been paced slightly better, but I don't think it was. At no point during the movie did I feel like bored watching the movie. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I felt like it, I don't know. I liked it a lot. It gave me everything that I wanted. There was a lot of really fun bits that happened. That the comedy in the movie didn't feel like it beat you over the head with a carpet remover.
What comp?
When he bangs his head.
Oh,
I did think there were some very funny bits and
Yeah.
stuff. I agree with that. Like,
This-
I thought the penguin was great.
The penguin is fucking amazing.
like, there
the
was some-
Spanish bit that
Well,
he
there's
does.
the
when he's-
twins. There's the whole reoccurring
Yeah, Twiddle
bit
Dween,
with the
Twiddle-
twins.
Like, I thought there were
Tweedledee
some
and Tweedledum.
genuinely funny things in there that weren't just like the shitty Marvel one-liners.
This
Yeah.
the
You
scene the scene that got the biggest laugh from the theater and was maybe one of my favorite parts in the entire movie is when he's in the police station.
Oh, and he wakes up.
And yeah, they wake
That's
up
great.
and he gets everyone off of him, and then they're like, "Give me a second, I gotta talk to him." And then Jim Gordon gets in his face. He's like, "We're gonna get you the fuck out of here. You're gonna punch me in the face." And like, it's such a good fucking like bit, and he fucking hits him in the face, and then the action sequence of him fucking running through the precinct while all of the cops are just chasing him.
Yeah.
It just felt fun. I think I had a fun time watching this movie. It also felt good to watch it. It felt like him solving a mystery. I do think that if I'm being critical of it, the third act felt like they really blew the stakes out of proportion to a point where they weren't initially.
So, I mean, I would jump in and say, like, I think my biggest issue with the movie is that it isn't a 3-act movie. It's not a 5-act movie either. It's like depending on how you want to group it, it's
Yeah.
either a 4-act movie or it's like a 7.5-act movie, which is like, I think that's those.
or two.
Or two. Yeah, or
That's
a
what
2-act movie.
it felt like to me. It felt like a first act, an extraordinarily long second act, and then a third act that kind of like
So
wrapped it up.
yeah, that was kind of my issue with it. Was like the pacing felt so weird and off to me, where it was just like back and forth between the same locations all the time, and then like kind of just rehashing very similar scenes over and over again with like finding these Riddler notes.
So overall, though,
And-
so we should probably give our
Yeah, yeah,
overall
yeah.
thing before we get into the minutia of it, right? So Patrick, overall,
Overall, like I've said around the office many times, I feel like there is a really great, really solid 2-hour Batman movie hiding in that 3-hour Batman movie, which was way too long for me. And I don't think the length was justified in any way for me.
I think it could have been shorter.
I did go out at one point to take a piss, and I was like, the movie probably started at like 8:15 with trailers and everything for me. I went out to pee, checked my phone, thinking like, oh, it's been like at least an hour and a half, 2 hours. It had been 1 hour. I think maybe even like 45 minutes. I was like, what the fuck? And I wasn't even like, I was enjoying the movie. I was just like, oh my God.
I'm sorry, I can get back to it. We can like getting your rating, but I did feel like during the second act, and I told you this outside, it started to feel a little bit like a video game at some points, where like he would go complete a quest and then go back to the quest giver to like get his reward for it. It's not a perfect movie, but I really liked it.
Yeah.
And
No,
you-
I would say I still enjoyed it. But I think I would have really liked it if it was, like about an hour shorter. And I don't think they would have really had to change that much to cut an hour.
yeah, that's how I feel about almost every single movie that ever existed.
Yeah.
So it doesn't need
It
to
would
be
be
as
better
long.
if it was 2 hours, and if it's 2 hours, it'd probably be better at 90 minutes. But I actually, bold statement is I liked it a lot. Like I really enjoyed it. You checked your phone. You went to the bathroom.
I
didn't-
had to. I would have pissed myself.
but I always go empty. I always empty myself before I get in.
it
But
does not matter. Child's
I
bladder.
did not break concentration in the film at all. I wasn't even curious about how long I had been there or anything like that.
I checked my phone as an experiment to see if when they were riding off on their motorcycles for 10 minutes or whatever.
Yes. But that goes to so I liked it a lot because it was run on the momentum of the first half of the movie, which I thought was pretty spectacular for me. I was saying, like, what's your rating on it? I was like, I have to average 2 ratings because for me, the first half was like a 9 or 10 out of 10. I was like, fuck yeah, I'm like totally in on this. Like, yeah, it's dark, but it's got some levity. It's got a different time period that we never get to see him really working in. And I was like, Gotham feels more alive than it has in for forever.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh yeah. And then basically after the Penguin car chase, I was like, huh. And I kept waiting for it to keep like spinning up that momentum again or paying off all that momentum. And it kind of never did. And then it would like do something. It was still good action. It's carried entirely by the fact that like Robert Pattinson's really good. Jeffrey Wright is great. And Zoe Kravitz is fantastic. And so I think the world keeps you in it. But I just kept like waiting for it to get to there again, and it like never did. And every single time it tried, I was like, "Ooh, that was worse than the last thing that they just tried to do." Ultimately, ending with them riding off in the cemetery and me being like, "This is like pretty bad." Like it kept going down and down and down into bad. But averaging the 2 out, it still works out because it's got a perfect first half.
Yeah.
It still worked out to me to like, oh, that was like an 8 out of 10, like overall. So I did like it a lot, but I think someone should have taken an axe to the second half of that script and said like, there's nothing of substance truly here, and a lot of the stuff that's happening isn't set up at all in the first half.
I don't know.
I don't know. I think that there are some movies warrant being that long, like, or being longer. And I think about movies that are epic in scale, like it's not even that long, but like Shawshank Redemption, it's like tells decades of this story. Like there's so much there, and it's
Boogie
always
Nights.
building. Boogie Nights is a movie that
The Hateful Eight.
This movie, the timeline of the movie is 7 days,
Yeah.
and there's no reason where it ends that they couldn't. I mean, we'll get into the details of it, but like I think the ending is like the biggest mess. The biggest mess. You shouldn't have 3 hours to set stuff up and just have things appearing in the last climax.
The ending is crazy.
The stakes just are like literally you reach page 200 of the script and they go, and there's stakes. Like, and we've literally just made them up right now, and now here they are. And so all that stuff completely falls flat for me. But I really love the world, and I thought the execution of a really bad second half of the script still made me want to watch it and give it a shot as it kept going, and then the end result is a mixed score.
Yeah, I like all the ingredients, but just the final product wasn't very good.
Yeah.
Like they burned it a little.
If they cut out
but everything they put in,
yeah,
top tier, organic, grass-fed shit.
Yeah.
But yeah.
If they cut out a third of almost every single thing in that movie, it would be better, right? So like they go to the Iceberg Lounge one too many times, right?
I would say almost 2 or 3.
Well, they go there like 3 times.
They go there 4 times. They go there 4 times.
Well,
Batman goes there 3 times.
He goes there 3 times. She goes there once. But like,
Well, do you know who I am?
Vengeance, right? Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, that was too many times. They let's go to the well too many times. The last riddle is not even a riddle. Like there's
It's
always
also
like a third of it.
I kind of like in like a detective or mystery movie like that. I sort of want to feel like I'm looking at like it's nice to be able to look back on a movie like that and like knowing what you know at the end. Or like trying to figure it out in the beginning, not possible.
Yeah.
Because it is all just ciphers that you're looking at. It's like, I don't. And Alfred is kind of just like, oh, I know how to do these. And he does them all for Batman.
We do ciphers.
Which like is fine. Like that doesn't, you don't have to, a detective movie doesn't have to be like you also trying to like figure it out. But it's kind of like, okay, I can't. I don't even know what to do with this.
There was visually, like they like attach a GoPro to his head, so it does like the thing or whatever. And I was like, that was cool. Like the first 2 times, and then they did it like another time, and I was like, that kind of looks stupid.
Yeah, when he's flying, right? And
that's one of them. But even like they
stabilize
put it on vehicles sometimes too, and I was like,
fucking hated that. I will say about the beginning is they showed the carpet scraper as the weapon that he uses to kill the mayor, right?
Yeah.
Which when I first saw it was like, okay, I feel like they chose that weapon because it's an interesting looking weapon and it's not just like a hammer. But they like focused on it for enough time for my brain to like register it, but not enough time for me to like actively be thinking of it like in West Side Story, like when they pulled it out the third time at the end of the movie and he scrapes up the carpet.
Yeah.
Like I was like, oh fuck, yeah, duh.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it didn't hit me over the head with it.
And
That
we're
was
kind of getting into spoiler territory. And
Also, Ryan
we just have
hasn't
to let
given his
Ryan
opinion.
talk. But to that point,
right.
it's obvious in the beginning. It was obvious in me because he hits the guy, it tumbles away, and then he scrambles for it so that way he can use it to beat the shit out of that guy, right? And it turns out that's not even what murdered him, but like that's like he uses it to beat the guy, and then you see it again the next time. Okay, he pulls this thing out, and I'm like, oh, okay, so it's important, but it's not important to his character.
No.
And even later on, Batman has no fucking idea. It's a random cop that goes, "Hey, it's a carpet scraper. You should check under the carpet." Like it's one of those things where it's like such an afterthought what it built to. It's a symptom of that movie. You're like the carpet scraper, and you're immediately doing the detective work to say, maybe his dad worked in carpets, maybe his dad, blah, 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 like all these things in there. And the end result was, no, he just had to shove the carpet down on his floor.
No, I think you're wrong. I think I'm smart, and I think I figured it out when the Batman figured it out. Ryan, what
He
do you
didn't
think
figure
about
it
it?
out.
Figure it out.
Ryan, what do you think about
that
the
beat
movie?
Cop figured it out.
All right,
Whose opinion on Batman changed 8 times during the movie, by the way.
Yes.
Please
Yeah.
continue.
I'll keep this quick.
Didn't you solve the voice already?
Yeah.
You guys gotta cough again. Drink some water.
Fuck the Batman, dude.
Okay.
Fuck the Batman. All right. I'll grade it on 2 things, like you're kind of doing, right? As and like, kind of like you're just saying, as a regular movie. If I didn't know Batman and stuff, I was like, okay, there's some cool stuff in here. If I had no context of the other films, I was like, all right, I give it a C-. If it was like perfectly average, whatever, kind of like David Fincher light, kind of like a 7 ripoff, kind of a Zodiac kind of thing, but like not doing it nearly as well.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't look as the visuals aren't really.
It's definitely
keeping up with
very
the
Seven
script.
inspired.
Well, he said that too.
Did he?
Yeah.
Which
Matt
is-
Reeves
I
was
think-
like, we were making 7, but Batman.
I think they got
pretty
close
much.
to doing that. For me, I think they got close to doing that well.
To me, it is just a person. It's a pale comparison.
Okay,
It's like
all
somebody
right.
trying to do
Yeah,
it and doing
yeah.
it so shittily. But as a Batman movie, comparing it to a Batman movie, because I have been paying attention to the last 25, 30 years of these Batman movies, and I hated it. I fucking really did not like it. Like the 3-hour thing is just indefensible, unjustified. Fuck you, Matt Reeves, for not editing.
I
this
agree
movie
with
more.
that.
And I love
It's
you.
a script though too.
Dawn
It's a
of the
script.
Planet of the Apes is one of my favorite movies ever.
Apes
okay?
Together
second
strong.
one or the
a
third one?
masterpiece. The second one. He
okay,
knows how to make a good movie. It's just he got they gave him the reins too much, and they go do whatever you want. That's the only thing. He got Final Cut, and it was like, case in point, you shouldn't give this guy Final Cut.
And
Anyway.
that's coming from Ryan, a person who, when we give him this full reins to do whatever he wants.
Yeah, give me Final Cut. Don't
Yeah.
give Matt Reeves Final Cut. Apparently,
I actually think that's something that's like very interesting about the DC movies, which
they're
like
bloated as shit.
what I mean though is like the current DC movies, which are, they're bad.
Uh-huh,
They're
I
really
agree.
bad. But there
like
is
Aquaman.
something different. There is like a very noticeable difference between those and the Marvel movies, and I don't think they're not better. I'm not saying that, but they are very clearly one person's.
Yeah.
I mean, well, the Justice League thing is whatever, but like with that Snyder cut thing, it's like
Yeah.
that movie is very undeniably a one-man movie.
Yeah,
where
yeah.
like it is clearly a guy's vision, which
Yeah.
is I guess I would sometimes rather see. I don't think it's a good movie. In fact, I think it's a very bad movie, but it's kind of more interesting in that way than like a very studio like committee feeling.
Well,
movie.
I agree, and
And this kind of had the same.
to me, the one that works the most, the gold standard for a Final Cut auteur director Batman is the fucking Dark Knight. Christopher Nolan he made an amazing movie that happens to be a Batman superhero movie, right? And this is like the one time like I feel like this kind of like super nerdy superhero comic book fan geek person, because I'm like, I hate when people are like, oh, I wanted it to be like this, and I wanted it to be like this. It's like, they made the movie. Like, this is the movie you made. You got what you got. Yeah. But I felt like that way during the thing. I'm like, we've had literally, this is the 3rd franchise, an entire new Batman franchise we've gotten in 20 years that have all essentially, to me, had the same aesthetic and take and tone. Where it's just like, we're taking Batman, but we're taking it super seriously about what he is as a core character and the themes we're getting to. Whereas 50 years before that, we had the Adam West, like It was a cartoon. And I'm not saying they had to, like, I needed the Joel Schumacher cartoon version of Batman. I kind of would have liked it. It would have been my secret preference to get a lighter Batman. But that's just me. But, like, we're really going to do a third super ultra serious, even, you know, like, it's almost he's trying to, like, out emo the last Batman. And it's like, why do we have to do it that way?
This one
why do we have to get that tone?
Crazy melodramatic.
That's what I'm saying.
Like
it's
middle,
Batman,
middle
dude.
school
It's about a
levels
guy who
of like
dresses up like a
emotions
bat.
and stuff happening in this one. It was like a soap opera.
It was.
Which I thought was fun, personally.
Really?
Yeah,
I thought it
had
was fun.
That's
and,
because you're a closet gothic person that
Yeah,
we
yeah.
were talking about hates everybody.
No, but like I thought I actually liked that part of it because I thought it was so campy and dumb. And I
See, I thought it
don't
was the
know if it
opposite.
was intentional or not, how soap opera-y and like middle school-y it felt.
Yeah.
I think
But
I think
I
it
enjoyed
was
that.
intentional.
I
mean,
hope
that's
so.
how I took
If it was intentional, I think that was really good and funny.
See, I feel like
Funny.
what
But you know, I don't. Yeah, if it wasn't, then I don't. Yeah, that's another thing.
yeah, I liked the Nolan Batman movies.
Yeah,
I
me
did.
too.
But I also I really didn't like Batman Begins as the first one
Yeah.
because I felt like Batman Begins with the whole like ending of it and like, you know, them on the fucking train, it just felt very like cartoony to me. But then in The Dark Knight, the one with Heath Ledger as the Joker, that one felt very grounded and very
And cartoony is bad. Is that what you're saying?
not
you don't like
necessarily.
cartoony?
It felt like
Because this is way more cartoony than
that's-
Batman Begins.
that's what I mean. Is I felt like Batman Begins, to me, when I watch it, it feels like it's trying to be super serious, super gritty, and also getting into that like overly cartoony sort of like way too played up. Whereas I felt like this was consistently melodramatic and consistently
Sure.
like it's
Cartoony.
goofy, it's
Kinda,
fucking campy, and I like it. And that's what
okay.
I mean. I don't think this, to me, it didn't feel like they were doing a Batman that was set in like a hyper realistic world. It felt very like in its own.
It's definitely much more
thing.
comic book.
Which-
Which I love.
So again, like I agree with you that I have no question in my mind that their melodrama and the cheese was intentional. Like I have no criticisms on the meticulousness of the film. I think the issue comes with the fact that they didn't have enough story truly to tell in this first one, and so
Well-
they stretched it all out. But something I always have to mention about the Nolan trilogy, because people got so confused in hindsight about what they thought it was. It's Batman and it's real Batman. Gotham looks like Chicago and stuff like that. The first movie has a
or
magic
Philadelphia,
flower.
depending on which one you
The
watch.
first movie has a magic flower that makes you see your worst fears, and it's controlled by an underground organization that literally led to the fall of
Seem
Rome.
plausible. Seem plausible to me.
So it's like
Those
none
all
of that.
exist.
None of that seems. It always felt ridiculous, and is for as many issues as Dark Knight Rises happens, I think a lot of the stuff that people cherry picked from it, like how does he fix his leg? I'm like, maybe with the same magic flower that makes you see your worst fear. I always thought that was a thing. This I also agree with Ryan though that it's like, man, we have such an opportunity to like come up with a new take, and like there's a way to take subject matter seriously without being so serious.
Why so serious?
Exactly.
That's what I was thinking.
And I think the perfect example that we saw of that was the Batman animated series, like in the 90s. It was like, no, we're gonna make it. It's gonna take it seriously. But it had that show had so much fun every single episode.
yeah.
There's no debate that it could be watched by a child or an adult and something like that. I'm not holding that against this movie, but I understand your frustration that it feels like people are conflating serious with serious, you know, and so yeah, I get it, but.
Thank you
I
for seeing my pain.
want to get into some of the more spoilery parts of the movie, and also some of the things that I really did enjoy about the movie that kind of, you know, get into it. And we've been pretty spoiler light, but Rick, who's running TD, which also thank you, Rick, so much being on ones and twos, suggested that we should take an ad break before we get into the spoilers. So now you know that there is a definitive block. But this podcast will be 3 hours long, because if it's not 3 hours long, how the fuck am I going to play Ave Maria 9 times?
That,
All right.
Well,
I
or
had
Nirvana.
forgotten
I have a lot
about
to
that.
complain
Yeah,
about.
yeah.
I'll be here all day.
We will be right back. When you own a small business, time is money. So don't waste it at the post office, because with Stamps.com, you can skip waiting in line and focus on taking your small business to the next level. With Stamps.com, you get access to all post office and UPS shipping services that you need. Plus, it'll save you some precious cash with discounts up to 40% off USPS rates and 76% off UPS. Whether you're an office, a side hustle, an Etsy shop, or a full-blown warehouse, Stamps.com will make your life easier. All you need is a computer and a standard printer, and you can start printing official postage, baby. I use Stamps.com almost every day of my life to ship out merchandise from my own podcast and just stuff I gotta send to family. So stop overpaying for shipping with Stamps.com. Sign up with promo code FHPOD for a special offer that includes a 4-week trial, free postage, and a digital scale. No long-term commitments or contracts. Just go to Stamps.com, click the microphone at the top of the page, and enter code FHPOD. Welcome back, everybody. We're still here talking Batman.
Boo!
I think a huge problem that I have with superhero movies in general is sort of this thing that you're talking about, Ryan, where like when you watch it, the thing that you want out of a movie is what you want out of it. And the thing that I want out of a movie is very different from that because like you guys have seen, you're all familiar with like comic books of Batman and different iterations of Batman and different Batmans from different movies. And you're talking about like a goofy, like that, like earlier, we were talking about the Adam West Batman, which is something that I am familiar of having existed and have seen parts of it. That is nowhere near any part of like my childhood or experience with Batman.
You've grown up with only serious Batman. That's a problem.
Exactly.
You should honestly.
That's what's wrong with this new
Kids these
generation.
days,
generation.
yeah,
It's the
they don't
serious
never worked a day
Batman
in their
they've
life.
been
They've
going
only
for.
seen gritty Batman. Just an aside, if this is your favorite Batman, you should just for funsies go watch the Adam West movie because it's fucking spectacular.
I will.
It's great.
I've seen. That's the thing is like I've seen them. They just weren't. When my introduction to Batman was Batman the Animated Series, which feels like it feels like it has equal parts of this and like more of the cartoony for obvious reasons, like tone, and then like the Christopher Nolan Batman, like that's who Batman is in my mind. So anything that deviates from that feels like way out there for
Have
me.
you seen Mask of the Phantasm?
No.
That's real good too.
That's something I should check out. But I also, with any superhero movie, I start to like.
Fuck with Batman Beyond.
Oh, do I ever?
Oh yeah. With
Like Beyond Meat, like
Return of the
Impossible
Joker.
Burger.
Yeah, Return of the Joker. Yeah.
Yeah,
Nice.
that,
He had like
Beyond
dreadlocks, right, or something.
Sick
that was
ass.
very good. That's the one. Yeah, that dreadlock Joker, big fat dreadlock.
Oh no,
Joker.
that's different.
That's
What
from
am I thinking
Batman.
of?
You're thinking, yeah, it's called The Batman.
the Batman,
right? Wasn't
yeah.
it The Batman?
It's the animated,
animated one.
series that they did.
Where you're talking
Oh,
about,
I didn't
where
watch that.
and he's
but maybe
played
that I
by-
must have seen. I mean, that
Joker
must
had
be what I'm thinking
dreadlocks.
of.
It was
Yeah.
like a Beast Man in it.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
cool.
yeah. It's
It's
fucking
awesome.
weird.
Can I? You know what my favorite Batman that's come out in the last 20 years is?
What?
The Lego Batman.
Okay, sure.
That's what I
Besides
also
the Dark Knight.
Yeah, it was way
saw.
off.
See, that's the thing is that like
looks like the
Batman is so
Joker.
many things to so many people. Where like the Lego Batman is a good movie.
It's awesome.
It's a very fun movie. And I was watching The Batman in theaters, which I think is also a very good movie. And while watching it, I saw an advertisement for Bat Dog or whatever the fuck, this like animated
Oh, it's
dog.
Kevin
Super
Hart, Dwayne
Pets.
Johnson.
Super
Yeah,
Pets,
yeah.
yeah,
right? Yeah.
where Batman is voiced by Keanu Reeves, and they're like making fourth wall breaking jokes.
I
And
mean, it's
the
a
whole
kids
thing.
movie, right?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It's a kids movie, but well, this is a problem for another thing. But like, it's a kids
what I was
movie where
thinking,
all of the jokes that they play are aimed directly at adults. Like,
I love those.
they're not like fun. They're like the super dog is chewing a Batman toy, and they go, "That better be an officially licensed piece of merchandise." Oh, I have so many people in my life. Alfred,
dogs out.
somebody, whoever Morgan Freeman played, like
Lucius?
yeah. But that's my point. Is that like with superhero movies, they can be so many things to so many people, and like I love this. I loved so much that like I love Batman's villains, and in this movie in particular, what I really loved is that the Riddler wasn't a fucking meticulous serial killer, and that was his only thing. He was like a Batman fanboy.
He's an influencer.
Yeah. Well, I did
Well,
love the
shitty
moment
influencer.
where they go, he has so many followers, almost 500.
The thing where it like cuts to him and he's like, "Hey guys,"
Yeah. Every time I feel like the only thing they did cut out of the movie was him saying, "Make sure to like and subscribe."
Yeah. But I mean, in defense of the other movies, like that's always been it's always like the Joker is like, oh, but I love you, like every single time. And so
this is, I think it's different. I think with like Heath Ledger's Joker, there was a yin and yang shit where the Joker saw himself on the complete other side to show him that they weren't so different. Whereas like in this movie, the Riddler, the character of the Riddler believes wholeheartedly that he and the Batman are on the same side and doesn't think that he's manipulating the Batman. He thinks that they're like together in this thing.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed that. I also, any of my opinions are not a knock on other Batman movies.
No,
they're fantastic.
Yeah,
I think this movie, I think I was the target audience for this movie. And that's why I love it so much.
I think, so again, this goes back to my issues with the movie is that whole thing, that fanboy thing, feeling like they're on the same side, feels like an element introduced at the very end of the movie. Nothing about their relationship up to that point feels that way. It's so antagonistic. He's leaving him
He's just
goading
writing letters,
tricky letters,
on
like
him.
and taking shits all over him the whole movie. And like you can say, sure, oh, but they're nice little cards or whatever. But like, I mean, that's not. Yes, he's twisted, and you can say he's twisted. That's what he thinks is friendship or whatever. But like, you also kind of get to see him somewhat normal in that breaking moment, and it's like, I don't know. I think it felt like they were like, oh, let's add this. Like that's how so much of the last half of the movie feels like. They're like, let's add this.
I
Like,
disagree,
what if
though.
they flood? What if it floods? And I'm like,
Oh,
is
man.
that an issue that like?
Well, to
that
me,
they have never established
that
throughout
like
the
if
rest
you
of the
blow up
movie.
5 parts of Manhattan, the whole
well,
city floods.
it's in the Louisiana.
Right, of
Gotham.
course.
I don't know
right.
if you knew that.
Forgot,
but yeah,
yeah.
it's
So like those are like
that
certain
means, bro.
things that like I'm like, oh, this seems like a cool idea, but at 3 hours, the fact that I can't track more in my brain to be like, oh, like they should have this. There should be more history there to make this a payoff and not just him telling us about now. Is what really killed me about like just the bare bones plotting of the movie, you know?
And were you saying earlier? Because I thought the Riddler's riddle sucked. I mean, for a guy in the riddle, I'm like, I thought those riddles would be cool. Did you say that earlier too?
So
I was saying that the riddles were dumb because it was just code.
Yeah, it was
It was just
They-
codes.
I mean,
There
there
was a
was-
distinct
and, like,
lack
there
of
was
actual
kind of a riddle after
there
that,
were
but
some.
Give me a cool riddle, dude.
Well,
I do feel like if I hear a riddle in the theater, I shouldn't be able to off the top of my head be like, boom, done, and
Yeah.
and be correct.
Well, so the first
know?
riddle, right?
Still
The
lies.
first
or
riddle lies still, right?
Mm-hmm.
Basically, we were in the theaters, and then it was like in real time reading it out, and Elise goes, "Lie still." Like she immediately
Yeah.
she immediately got it.
That's
I think
awesome.
she said like lies dead or something, and she went, lie still. Like, and I was, oh, okay. And then that's what it was. And then the second riddle, when Alfred was like, his Spanish must be terrible because he used the feminine la instead of L here or whatever. And I was
The
like, oh,
opposite.
I was like, it's Falcone. Because he's the rat it's a falcon has wings and he's the rat. And I was like, boom, like that. And then when the movie went, he's talking about you, Batman, I was like, I don't think so. So it's
It
weird.
took so long to get around that rat, which the penguin yelling "No habla español, shitheads."
yeah.
Best part of the movie.
That
Yeah.
was so
I
great.
But-
Okay, that really fucked me up because, and maybe you can attest to this too. Is like as soon as they used the improper Spanish thing, I was like, no, go fuck yourself.
I didn't even register it, but
Alfred-
my wife immediately afterwards was like, "Yeah, I thought that was fucking weird that they
Yeah,
just
But
bad
even
Spanish."
but even Alfred like comes in. He's like, he must be not very good at Spanish.
I don't even
Here's
remem-
this clue.
I don't even remember that.
Okay, well, yeah.
That's why you were taking a piss.
He calls
Yeah, probably.
Alfred calls it out pretty quickly, and it's interesting that they both just then gloss over it from there.
Funny that Alfred, with all of his
I didn't have an issue with the
with all of
riddles,
his combat experience, his code breaking experience, his Spanish speaking experience, can see a package
Yeah.
that is very clearly, if not a bomb, from the very least, not something that should be opened in the home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is a very threatening package.
Yeah.
He slowly opens it, takes a look at it,
Yeah.
turns it over, sees fireproof, waits a beat.
Yeah.
He knows it's a bomb at this
Yeah.
point, but he pauses. He's like, "Ah!"
It was in slow motion though.
No,
It was in
and it
slow
happened in
no,
motion.
it wasn't.
But why the fuck are you doing? Why? First of all, why I don't know. I mean, maybe you have an arrangement with him where you open his mail to because he doesn't seem like he's doing shit else around the home.
I agree with you on that part because that was so fucking dumb because the conceit for him opening the letter was seeing for Bruce's eyes only and him being like,
in Riddler handwriting.
In Riddler font.
Whose handwriting he's been poring over for days, hours.
That was so fucking dumb. There are actual things that I feel like are stupid in this fucking movie that I do have issues with.
Yeah, and it's stupid. It's stupid. I think there's other things that are stupid. I don't necessarily mark against that. My issue is they try and capitalize on that moment emotionally shortly thereafter.
Where he's in bed.
But I don't really know anything about the two of them.
They don't
I've
seem
never
to
even
like
seen him
each
be a
other.
butler.
They don't seem to like each other at all.
No.
Again,
they have zero relationship.
when you think about the fact that you have 3 hours,
Yeah.
and I don't really know anything, you find out after the fact, but I'm like, all right, so they're gonna blow up Alfred. Like I'm watching it, going like, all right, I guess Alfred's gonna blow up. I don't really know him. And I don't really know how Bruce feels about him truly. Those are my big gripes about that movie, and it all honestly all happens in the second half of it, where it's like, wait, you should have set this stuff up before. Like, I mean, maybe you were too busy making a fucking awesome first half, but like, I was like, then maybe you should have ended it, and then we should have saved this for the next.
That's an issue. So. On that same note, like the Alfred shit is something I had a huge issue with when it happened because when they're trying to fucking like tear jerk out of me, go fuck yourself. I don't care.
Here's the thing. So all the other Alfreds have been like, I mean, the Tim Burton Batman Alfred is kind of just like
Tim Burton and Joel Schumacher.
And Joel Schumacher, he's the same guy. That's right.
Yeah.
He's there. He's like Batman's confidant and his like kind of his Q or whatever, which is cool, whatever.
He's chill.
And then in the Nolan ones, he's very, it's like he's the dad. He's Batman's dad.
Michael Caine.
Yeah.
A Michael. Yes, a Michael.
Yeah.
And I'm down to see like a different take. If you're going to make them like be combative or whatever, I want to see like a bad father-son relationship or something. Like a bad combative father and son relationship, which maybe, but this was just like, fuck you, you're the help, motherfucker. You piece of shit.
I am
so far above you and you're trying to fucking talk to me.
I feel like the whole like Alfred's character in this one was supposed to be like after the Waynes died, they hired like some fucking like from the Israel military fucking special ops.
That's what it was though. That's what he was like, well, I was your dad's bodyguard. And then I guess they said you're under my control now, but
that doesn't make any sense.
Weird,
it's weird. It doesn't make any sense.
That doesn't make any fucking sense. So the Alfred thing, fuck that, and I hated that. And you're right. I like the actor who played Alfred, but the character was wholly unnecessary. Except
director of Venom 2. Let there be carnage.
And most of the Hobbit trilogy, I think.
Well, yeah.
His character felt
unofficially
almost
stick to his achievements.
Mowgli.
His character felt almost the entire point of his character was for the harder things that like you were saying, like you were in the theater trying to like solve the riddles yourself, and some of them are like the ciphers, like the things that we can't possibly do.
Yeah.
Every time that happens, the Batman would hand it off to him and then come back after a couple scenes and he was like, it's done.
Yeah.
There's a version of that script, I guarantee you, where Alfred is the code name for a computer.
Yeah.
It's a computer program. Everything works.
Yeah.
You can entirely replace him with a giant computer screen. And he's like, Alfred, what do you think? Yes, Master Wayne. I will analyze this and break it down.
You're the help.
And then
I want to see that movie.
Yeah, unwrapping package. Alfred, you had all this information about my dad. Why didn't you tell me? Like
Alfred unzips a bad RAR file.
I am only a computer, Master Wayne. I didn't know how to tell you.
So the Alfred shit pissed me off. But the other thing that really pissed me off, and I talked to you about this earlier.
Your favorite Batman movie?
This is my favorite. I have a lot of favorite movies that I have issues with.
Okay.
That's the thing.
It really
it's like,
pissed you off, apparently. Let's hear it.
there were things that were. Here's the thing. I said I loved it. It's one of my favorite Batman movies. I don't love a lot of other Batman movies. I'm still, as a movie, 7 out of 10. It's not my favorite movie I've ever seen, but it is my favorite Batman movie, which is what I mean of like, I might not just be the fucking target demo for Batman, which is fine. But I do enjoy a lot of it.
I don't know if the Nolan movie, I don't know what the target demo for Batman is anymore. I think Batman's too big to have a target demo where like kind of no matter what you make with Batman, it's going to have an audience somewhere, right? So like these are, I mean, it's made for like super broad appeal, obviously, or like to appeal to a large group of people to buy tickets or whatever, right?
Yeah.
But like, you could make like the weirdest fucking Batman movie in the world, and it would probably still find an audience. But I don't know what the target audience for Batman is.
It's everybody.
Yeah, it's just everyone.
I think that, well, that's a fair point. I think, like, this one, though, I really liked it. But one of the issues that I had, again, was like them shoehorning in the romance with him and Zoe Kravitz's character, Selena
Kyle.
felt so
Selena.
fucking dumb, and like rushed. And you're completely right, where like a lot of the time spent, if you're gonna have a 3-hour movie, I don't need all this fucking B-roll footage. You could have spent some of that time like having this thing happen. And I don't know if this was their intent, and if they had this in there. I told you earlier, Patrick, that every character calls everyone baby or babe, and I got confused as to who was fucking who.
I thought she was in a relationship with her Russian roommate.
So that's what I thought. And I thought they were dating, which if that was the case, and it still could be.
Yeah, it could be, I guess.
But the fact that like if they had made her entire arc that she was about to pull this job on Falcone, and then take the money, and then they were going to get away from it all and start over, and right before the fucking job happened, she died, and that's her catalyst for like, she hasn't been the Catwoman, she's becoming this person. Like if they had done that, and then it became about revenge for her, that would have been super satisfying and had a great payoff. Instead, they like hint at it, abandon it, and then have them make out shockingly in awkward intervals.
That's the thing too. Again, I must remind you, the film takes place over the course of 7 days.
Yeah.
It's Batman: A Short Halloween is essentially what it should be called.
Yes.
But yeah, I completely agree. Like, because
they should have just fucked. Like if it's only
and
gonna
I agree.
if it's only gonna be 7 days, here's what happens: Catwoman and Batman meet. They can't stay off each other. They fuck like the animals.
And she goes, should
that
we
they
be doing
are.
this? And Batman goes, yes.
Yeah. Coachella's 3 days, and you can get that done in 1.
Yeah, you can have a fling over 7 days, and maybe you get emotionally attached, but but it doesn't have to be like you're not falling in love.
Come with me.
Right.
No one falls in love in 7 days.
They find the body.
Yeah.
And she's like, I'm pissed about this. And I'm going to get him back for this. But it never really feels truly like, oh, this person who's so important to me is now gone. I've lost something truly like she's almost like Batman. I love you just as much as I love them. You should help me do it.
It felt like a mild inconvenience to her plan when she found the dead body.
Yeah. Go ahead, Ryan.
I was just gonna say that it would be cool if he did more bat stuff, like real bat stuff, like if he like slept upside down,
like Man Bat.
That's what Michael Keaton does.
Do bats have sex upside down or right side up?
I imagine they could.
Probably in flight or something.
Yeah.
And then he calls his shit guana. He
Can we?
he rubs his.
Wait,
guana
I want
all
to tell
over
a story real quick.
All right.
That I had a job at a hotel in North Dakota for like a summer once, and my nickname there was Batman. Because I was the guy they would call to kill all the bats that got into hotel rooms.
Oh, you're like a villain.
Oh my god!
And it was
Not fun.
Dude,
I can't
you want to hear what a bat says when it's dying?
Yeah.
Oh,
I don't like that.
I don't like that.
I don't
wow,
like that.
you're a superhero.
I love that.
Well, I feel like we've talked a lot about things we don't like. I would love to come up with things that we did like about the movie, and
Starting with Ryan.
Toss them over to Ryan to see like what your thoughts. Because like for me, like number one, right off the bat,
Oh my god,
Zoe Kravitz. We're talking about her, but are you kidding? Like I thought she was awesome. I thought she was awesome as both Catwoman and Selena.
Her performances were out of the fucking park.
Like
knocked it out.
every aspect of it, I felt like even in the cheesiest, there was like the first time they had their like romance together and then they kiss, and I was like, this is exactly the same way Blank Man went. Like I wanted Robert Pattinson to go like and like complain that his boner's hurting because he's like such a virgin, which is fine. But I thought she in those scenes was like, oh my gosh, she's like stealing these scenes from Batman. She's great. She's smooth. Even when she goes in just as herself with like the bodysuit and the wig and stuff, you're like, Jesus Christ. That's what made me feel most like this could be the animated series. So number one, right off the bat, I loved Love.
It's meta
Zoe
because she's a
Kravitz.
robber. She's a thief. She's stealing the scenes from Batman.
There
Oh
you
my
go.
God.
I'm like,
So-
whoa, they
so-
planned for that. I bet.
I thought,
Wow.
again, in terms of my 10 out of 10 aspects of the movie that make it such a highly rated thing for me, definitely her.
She was okay.
Whoa.
All right.
I mean, it wasn't like she was fine.
She was like
I-
made of triangles.
I
though.
don't know what people love about her. Like, it was just kind of, she did good. I don't have any complaints, but I don't get, what made you love her performance? What was, you're saying it's the moments that
She had this exuded this energy. She felt like she truly belonged in this world,
she
but
did seem
stood
really
out
confident
from
and
it.
cool.
Like the world, I think, has like all this thing, and it felt like, again, kind of like going to the cartoon thing. There's certain people that are drawn as part of the backplate and people that are drawn, and she just stood out. And a lot of that is the filmmaking, but I also think it was like her presence, like the way she walks and the way she speaks and just her intensity. Like she maintains this eye contact constantly that is like, I don't know, she just exuded
cat.
such a Catwoman vibe. And when you compare that to like Anne Hathaway, it's like, it's night and day. Like Anne Hathaway was
Dark
just
Knight
like,
and Day?
yeah.
Thank
It's like, why is she even there? Like, she barely
Yeah,
feels like she
definitely.
belongs. She has no dog in this fight whatsoever. So,
She's definitely the coolest Catwoman to me.
She just
I
got
think
shot
she's
up
the
in
best
the back.
Catwoman, but-
but yeah, Eartha Kitt's pretty cool.
I would say on that same note, like most of the performances I really liked, and I thought it was a great movie for strange men actors.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
Robert Pattinson, Paul Dano,
John
Colin
Turturro.
Farrell, John Turturro.
Mhm.
Who was the
Was that the
who was the DA guy?
Oh,
the bald-headed dude?
Ethan Embry.
No,
not Ethan Embry. Ethan. No, yeah,
No, it's not Ethan.
something Embry.
The only thing I remember that he was in
Can't
was
Hardly
Garden
Wait?
State.
Wasn't it the guy from Can't Hardly Wait or
Devin
no?
Sawa.
No,
No,
what the
I don't
fuck is this
remember.
guy's name?
Oh,
Who
well.
who's the guy? He was the cop that was. He's also in Our Flag Means Death. He
Haven't
plays
watched it
Mr. Hands in Our Flag Means Death.
Haven't seen it.
He's got the like very strained voice.
Oh,
Whenever he's
yeah. I don't know
talking.
the name, but I know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
He was like kind of the main commissioner,
chief
or
or
chief or
something,
something.
Yeah,
Yeah, great.
bro, fucking awesome
And
character.
Colin Farrell
actor.
Penguin,
Yeah.
I thought it was a fucking weird choice when I heard that casting. I also was kind of like, why don't you just hire a guy that kind of looks like the Penguin? But like,
Yeah.
damn, the makeup,
And him having fun, shooting
great
scenery.
He's fucking having a
Oh
blast.
yeah. He's doing
He's-
fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Ryan.
I don't know about a series, but
Yeah, I don't
like
know
I said at
about
the beginning, Penguin is definitely one of the best parts. You know, he, like you said, the makeup, the whole vibe. I mean, to me, you could have placed him in one of those Joel Schumacher movies or something because he
Yeah.
transcends the very grounded world that they are because it's so ridiculous. It's like
yeah.
maybe it's just because we know he's Colin Farrell too. That probably has something to do with it.
He's also there's something about everyone being a very believable thug in the movie. Like the twins, they're like thugs, you know. Like you've seen dudes like that, whatever.
Yeah.
The Penguin is an old world gangster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's fucking Al Capone in
Yeah.
modern day Chicago, and you're just like, yo.
But is it modern day?
dope.
That's what kind of I like that too because it
Yeah.
was like out of time. It's like
It's very like I felt the same way, and I know this is such a dumbass comparison, but like It Follows, where like when I
Well,
watched
that's
It Follows,
very intentionally done and It Follows.
yeah,
Yeah.
and when I watched It Follows, I couldn't tell what fucking time it took place in, and the same with this, where like I almost thought that this movie took place in the past until I saw the news graphics. Like I thought we were gonna see Bruce Wayne's parents get killed, and then I
Yeah,
saw
yeah.
him turn on the news, and I went, oh, okay, so it's
Yeah,
somebody
yeah, yeah.
else.
The parents getting killed too thing. This is another nitpicky thing for me. But like we've also gotten 3 or 4 entirely different ways they've gotten murdered. It's like
I-
I
It's a
guess
different
that's a
universe.
comic book thing, I guess. But it's like I also, as a non-comic book fan, that confuses
and
me.
I would say
Are they different though? I mean, there's like a theory in this one that it might have been intentional and might not have been, but
Well,
I
that
guess it's pretty
gangster-
heavily.
But it's John Turturro's character. I mean, is that guy around? And and then it was
Oh, those characters are in Batman Begins.
well the Joker,
one of 'em
or
is.
like Jack Nicholson is supposed to have killed him in the Tim Burton movie.
Well, that's
yeah.
so that is not in the comics. There,
Yeah,
it's
it's not even
that's
close.
not. That was just for that movie.
But then in the
yeah.
Dark Knight, you're saying that the same scenario where is
No,
happening?
Dark Knight. I think it's just
It's just some
Dark
random
Knight is
Random
Joe
dude.
shot.
Chill. It's just Joe Chill.
Well,
and
that's
it's-
what I'm talking about.
it's-
Is that we've gotten all? It's different in
so-
every movie.
so
is that
I-
cool? I don't think it's cool. I don't know. Some people do.
I'm fine with it being different, but I thought this
Yeah.
was probably my least favorite interpretation of his parents' death because of how it circles back to his character. Like, there's something about some common criminal killing Bruce Wayne's altruistic parents, right?
Who are billionaires, so you
billionaires,
know.
but but obviously,
I get it, yeah.
Like parents that would color his perception of crime and what crime means and can do to that city. I think it also says a lot about what Gotham is. This Gotham is weirdly less of a don't you understand the people are desperate kind of the people are desperate, they're subjugated, and this is their only option, Gotham, into corruption is just a lot more prevalent here, and so gangsters are kind of just in the politicians' pockets and stuff. I don't know. I hated all of the Wayne parents stuff.
I wasn't a huge fan of it.
In this movie?
I disliked it all. I thought it was a side road that didn't need to be taken to get him involved or invested in any of this. To make him actually, via his bloodline, invested seemed like such a weird side road. And then the payoff, most of that stuff in the second half, didn't pay off. It was no, you don't understand. Your dad didn't mean for the journalists to get killed.
Yeah, it was actually
he just wanted you to scare him a lot, so he asked the worst crime lord in the world to scare him a lot. I was like, he sounds bad.
Sounds
that
sounds like
that's
a
kind
bad
of a
plan.
thing that I feel like happens in the comics a lot too, and in I don't, because when they were saying that, I was like, oh shit, I don't know if I liked them making Thomas Wayne a villain. And this is just stupid attachments to shit that I have from my childhood of I just mean Batman character shit from where I'm like, oh, you can't, hey. No, which is you should always fuck with that stuff. But there was when that happened, I was like, I don't know if I like Thomas Wayne being a bad guy. But then I'm also but they're not going to commit to that, and they're going to just rewrite it. And because it actually would have been interesting if they're no, your dad was a piece of shit.
Yeah, you don't
That's
become
kind of
you don't become a
That's
billionaire.
way more interesting.
Yeah.
Especially with however many 20 Batman movies we have now.
I completely agree. I think you unpack that in the next one.
I mean, sure.
He didn't need a reason to be involved. He didn't need a reason. He was already so he literally was forgetting who he was, right? Taking journal notes just so he had a track, which I loved. Yeah. And I was like, he didn't need an investment in this. His investment was get the fucking guy. This is the first test. You've been on the job, but this is your first real test. Show him that you're not just some brute who's out here. Show him that you're actually trying to not only navigate finding this guy and stopping and seeing where it leads, so that way you can root out the corruption in this city that you claim to protect, right? Mm-hmm. You're not just a protector of the elite. You're a protector of everyone. That makes so much sense. In this one, I was there is canon the story of Falcone getting shot and then showing up on his doctor's doorstep, and then Thomas Wayne doing the right thing and fixing him or whatever.
There is such just to be a little nitpicky on that point, though, is that we're to believe that he showed up to a random doctor's doorstep. But I've seen Wayne Manor. You know how much bullshit you would have had to get through?
So in this, it's even stranger because he's definitely living out of a skyscraper.
Yeah.
Which maybe he grew up at Wayne Manor, but also Wayne Manor doesn't seem like a place you drive by and pull in for help. It's a massive 100 acres outside the city with a gate that's probably 2 miles from the house.
There's so many other doctors he could have gotten
right
to. So that's why it's...
And also, how'd you know
Again,
did you just know it was his house?
It was just confusion that came from it being bloated, from it having a confusing second half and not needing that. That's something, he had his mission and he was going to accomplish that mission. He was going to follow it and it can have its ups and downs. And then in the second movie, once he thinks he's on his path and he understands it, then you throw a curveball.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, this vengeance that you have inside it, it's completely screwed up. You've completely misinterpreted your vengeance because that perfect family that you thought you had that was taken from you wasn't so perfect. And then it's unpack that in another movie where you can devote the necessary time to it. This was an afterthought. And then
the Unpack Man.
Yeah, there you go.
That's your sequel.
Yeah.
I agree with that. The one more added point to your thing about the world building of Gotham, and probably my favorite juxtaposition of shots was in that montage at the beginning when it's criminal spray painting, looking up at the bat signal.
Oh, yeah.
He drops the can to the shadows. Perfect, pushing on the shadows and him just leaving it.
Yeah.
Like that was just a good, nice little storytelling moment with editing.
That
you
was
know,
so cool.
Where I'm like, all right, this is cool. You know, I've already in those 3 shots, I get the vibe of the city that he's going for. It was cool and how they built it. But then I never really did anything.
We didn't mention it, but on kind of related to that, I really liked a lot of the cinematography, the set design, art direction, the lighting. I thought was really cool, and a lot of
or lack thereof.
So,
yeah, I mean, but that's a choice too, you know. And like, and I really liked a lot of the action sequences, and then inevitably there'd be some.
Well, that was.
Have you seen the
but
Batman over the years meme?
I have. Where it just becomes
a black screen at the end.
Oh,
It's just
yeah,
a black
yeah.
screen.
So
at the end.
that was actually going to be my point of like the thing that I really loved about the movie, because it is a fun movie. Plot wise, it's got some holes. There's a lot of things that could be fixed. I do agree that, like, me personally, I didn't mind it being 3 hours, but also I don't give a fuck about watching a 3-hour movie. I have nothing else, so I'm fine with it. But they could have spent that 3 hours doing some better stuff. But watching it visually, every single moment in the movie, I felt like it was visually stimulating to watch. Even if it was a boring bullshit scene, I felt like it was framed really well. I felt like everything was really cool. I don't feel like the action scenes were monotonous like they are in other superhero movies for me.
Well, because there was actual like stunt work being done.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
And
wasn't just like 2 CGI dragons.
Yeah.
People like in suits just rolling.
I can point to like that scene where he escapes from the precinct is super fun and super great to watch. The car chase scene is probably one of the most standout points in the movie, where it just feels amazing to watch it happen. Also, I saw it in the trailer, and in the trailer I thought that looks dumb, but seeing how it looked in the actual movie, it was amazing. It's one of my favorite parts of the movie. The scene where you didn't like the club scenes, but the scene where the first time he goes and he fights everyone in the club, fucking loved it.
Yeah.
When he goes back and they have the like Rogue One style scene where it's lit only by like the gunshots that are happening and you get to see, fucking awesome. I loved it. Every single shot in the movie, I really felt in love with. And I've seen movies where sometimes the story starts to fall off, and then I start to kind of nod off and fall asleep. This movie wasn't one of them. 3 hours, and I always felt like it grabbed my attention visually.
With the exception of them riding their motorcycles through that graveyard, which is maybe one of the worst shots I've ever seen.
Because it's stagnant. It
well,
stays
no,
on
it's just
it.
like me.
Yeah.
I was so confused by that because they're like, she's like, why don't you come with me? He's like, I gotta save Gotham.
Sorry, I have to stay.
And then the next shot is them riding for like long
I caught you.
Yeah.
next to each other. And like he catches up and I was like, oh, so he is going with her. Or she's going with him, because I don't know which one rode up to the other.
It was like when you say goodbye to someone at the entrance to the parking deck and realize you both parked on the same floor.
Yeah, exactly. So, but that whole time I was like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Are they? And then they pull off
then
and
they
they do a
split.
Fast and
Yeah.
Furious at the end. And but it's just like, oh, okay, that was. Why is that in the movie? Literally could have cut from him being like, gotta save Gotham to the next shot. Why
also-
the fuck is that in there?
It has to be 3 hours long.
So weird.
She also keeps getting snuck up on in that movie. It doesn't. I'm not marking this against it as like a genuine criticism, but it was something I kept laughing at because, like, again, we're talking about like when she goes into that club and she's like, "I'm gonna get you, Falcone," and he's like in a fully lit room and she walks in and then someone just jumps out from basically in front of her, grabs her gun, and then Falcone just runs by. Like she constantly loses people, and then again at the ending, she's at her mother's grave. And she's there, and then he's like, "So, what are you doing?"
You come
and she's
here
like,
often?
And she's like, "Oh, you scared me, Batman!" And his motorcycle is parked right, like it's parked on the other side of hers. Like, she has to leave
he walked
before.
it up the hill.
I'm like, did he lower it? Like, how did he get in there? Like,
Also,
oh my god,
It's a Tesla cycle.
After watching this movie, I realized the most lucrative job in all of Gotham is street bike salesman, because everyone has the exact same.
raining
for
out.
sure.
Good time
Weird.
for a ride.
Yeah, they all have the very weird, like World War II light on the front fucking
Yeah.
motorcycle.
Speaking of the people getting snuck up on, that first scene when the Riddler is behind, like, whatever, the mayor or something. You remember? When
Oh
it's
yeah,
like,
yeah.
oh,
And you just
Ooh,
see like his
yeah.
eyes.
And it's just like he sees that. I'm like, oh, cool, this is cool. And then the guy just goes into the light a bit more, and then there's just like an overhead shot. He just goes, "Bleh!" It's just like, all right,
I
that was
liked-
anticlimactic.
I liked how he wasn't a murderer. He's not a I mean, factually was a murderer, but he's not like every time he did violence. Also, Patrick and I talked about this. Every time he does violence or violence happens in the vicinity of the Riddler, he full on comes. He full on creams.
Oh
his
yeah,
mouth.
100%. He has an orgasm on screen,
Yeah.
like when his face is being pushed into the diner. He's
yeah.
he's
That's hot.
ejaculating.
So you
in his
had
drawers.
told me about that before going in, and
Yeah.
I saw that. But even in that first scene when he murders him, after he's murdering him and he's lying on top of him and he's about to pull out the duct tape, I swear to God, I think he comes. I think he.
yeah.
straight
He definitely
up
does.
orgasms.
Yeah.
I would say though, I get what you're saying. For me, that set a tone that I actually really liked with the Riddler, which is, and it kind of ties into is this movie super serious or does it kind of know that it's tongue in cheek at points? It's set up and it's really scary. And in any other movie, the guy turns around and goes, oh, and then he jumps on him, right? In this movie, he waits. He's like, he's going to turn? No, he doesn't turn. He's going to turn out? He doesn't turn. Okay, fuck this. And then he just does it. And I was like, okay, that like, for me, that cued me into a type of Riddler who's like, he has a plan or whatever. But like, it didn't pan out perfectly. But I don't have time to wait all day because this kid's gonna come back from trick-or-treating soon. So I guess I kind of got to wallow up. Let's just do it and let's just go for it. And he does it. And I was like, it's definitely a thing because
that's actually interesting. I didn't consider
it undercuts the tension that it built up with that. It's like scary horror movie, but I actually kind of dug it. I was like, oh, that's like fun. I feel like it's consistent too because it happens in the car. The guy's like in the car and he pops up in the back seat. Even more so, the guy comes out with Selena. The DA comes out with Selena and he's like, fuck me. We're fucked. Oh shit. And he's like, and so like he's like, it's all over. This is it. Batman's gonna be pissed. My plan's broken. But
and they show him slumped down.
Yeah, and he's like, oh no. Like you see his eyes white. He's like, they were blown.
That's the guy I'm talking about. What the fuck is that guy's name?
I don't remember.
God.
I thought
I thought he was fucking
Peter
what's his name?
Stormare.
No.
No?
It's
No,
definitely
it's
not
Peter. It's
Stormare.
something Stormare.
Peter Stormare.
No, it's not. I know
It's not-
Peter
oh,
Stormare
wait,
is
no,
Fargo.
is it Maggie Gyllenhaal's Peter Skarsgård?
Peter Skarsgård.
Yeah.
See,
yeah.
I knew it was like a Swedish name.
Yeah,
Yes.
It's Skarsgård.
Yes,
Peter
it's Skarsgård.
Skarsgård.
Yes.
To that same point, the one thing that I really liked about every time the Riddler murdered somebody is that he is a giddy guy who thinks his plan, like, you know, he's very meticulous in the way he plans things out.
The character
But like
was
when
great.
what?
I thought Riddler was
Rat
great.
I thought Riddler was
a
amazing.
genuinely like creepy online.
That's what I mean.
maniac.
Yeah. So when he murders
whatever.
people, unlike other like Zodiac or whatever, like the Zodiac was a fucking like in the movie like is a killer and is like does things without even thinking about them.
Well, the
This
dog
guy,
tells him to.
that's Son of Sam.
Whatever.
Yeah.
I forgot.
we don't
you're
know
right.
what the
I
Zodiac's
forgot.
motivations were.
Yeah, we don't know
No
who
one
Zodiac
knows.
was.
Nobody knows. He works at a hardware store, maybe.
So what I really liked about it was that in terms of like watching somebody kill somebody, he's so overexcited, he's sloppy, he gets ahead of himself, he drops shit and he has
Yeah.
to run back and get it. Like it feels very realistic, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I think again, it's a lot of great texture.
Mhm.
He has a plan, and it kind of goes or whatever. And I get that maybe keeping with that motif, that was their intention going into the second half because his plan he didn't factor in that Batman had no idea, I guess, and like maybe isn't that good of a detective.
He
And-
straight up says it in
and
there.
In this
so-
one, Batman is not a great detective.
he seems, which is
He's-
shitty because
he's okay.
I agree
But
that
he's
he's
not
bad,
great.
But like, I do think that it sucks because could have been the one where he is great. Like,
Yeah.
they don't even let Batman solve it.
I know.
It just
Yeah,
that's
fuck.
what blows my mind
Strange,
about the last half of
choice.
the movie. And but I also, part of me is like, well, I understand why he didn't solve it, because like the riddles at the end really sucked and didn't even lead you in the right direction at all, like.
As far as detective work goes, in this movie, Batman is like the Kanye West, where like he compiled a great team of people who solved it for him.
Yeah.
So we have enough time for like some final thoughts. You've heard my final thought. I've interjected it shittily into all of your arguments. It's like, I like the movie. It's fun. I think it doesn't take itself too seriously. It allows itself to be goofy at just the right moments. It's very interesting to watch. And I thought it was fantastic. I give it a solid, like I said, 7 or 8 out of 10 as a movie. Batman movies, I think it might be my favorite one.
Okay, I go boo, boo, boo. I don't like it. Don't like it. Don't want to see the next one, but I'm probably going to. I give it a 3 out of 10 as a Batman movie. My one thing you were talking about, I wish they had committed more to like the Riddler being this bumbling kind of half together person. If you're going to see a good movie with that kind of the theme, have you ever seen Quick Change?
Yeah,
of course.
Yeah, that's a fun
great.
movie about just plans falling apart.
Oh, okay. I was like, what does that have to do?
I don't know. It really has nothing
Have
to
we
do with
seen
Batman.
Quick Change?
Flores para los muertos, los muertos. You remember that? They're like, and they're like, where are we? And they're different. It's just a woman going, Flores para los muertos. And Randy Quaid's like, why is she saying that? And then they pull up next to the other. They just pull up, and then there's
it's
a
the
guy.
gang.
There's a guy on a bike, and they're like, excuse me, sir, can you tell us how to get to the airport? And he doesn't address them, and then he pulls up a broom, and then it reveals that there's 2 gangs on either side of a basketball court, and there's a whole sequence where they're just watching two guys ride bikes at each other, jousting.
Yeah.
The movie's fucking
It's
great.
That movie rocks. It has very little to do with Batman, but just go see it because it's
Nothing.
good. Yeah. Anyway, whatever. Fuck
Check out
Batman.
Quick Change.
Quick Change is
Quick
awesome.
Change.
Quick James?
Yeah, I think that we didn't really nearly get into the positives that I felt about this movie, because again, I thought the movie was firing in all cylinders on the first half. Someone said it on Twitter, and I agree that it feels like the only thing they cut from the movie was some sort of B plot about how he has a hard time working on his car, because it's weird that they introduce it and he immediately stalls out, and you're like, that's weird. I feel like that was a comedic beat in a different movie. But I really honestly loved it. I thought Colin Farrell was great. Zoe Kravitz, even Robert Pattinson felt like he played Batman, putting on this air, like, I can't let anyone know I'm 22. Like, his whole performance is, don't let anyone know you're only 22 years old. Don't let any, like, standing in the room, seeing the kid, like, his eyes are always darting around and stuff. And not just because he's recording. But the second half felt like they tried to restart that engine, kind of like The Dark Knight does, and they never got there. And then it ultimately felt like they introduced too many new things at the end that weren't set up at the beginning and didn't at all meet. We didn't even talk about the finale, where a bunch of Riddler impersonators
from the internet.
Riddler impersonators from the internet show up in the rafters of a stadium to try and like shoot people. And I was like, this is a different movie, like entirely.
And it was like effective. I mean, you could feel people in the theater like, like the whole vibe of the theater changed. Fucking quick.
But it was like
the people behind me stopped fingering their girlfriends.
Oh wow.
I actually thought that was very effective, but at that point in the movie, you're kind of already like,
but after all that psychological stuff, he makes a maze that causes a rat to go around a guy
to eat a man's face.
Eat him. Like,
which if anyone knows like where to get one of those.
A rat?
No,
a maze.
A maze that goes on a man's head to eat them.
He put so much thought into all this only for it to result in, we'll get a bunch of people in one place and shoot them with guns. It was like, this is really lame.
Were they just trying to shoot anyone, or was it that like
they were
mayoral
trying
candidate?
To shoot the mayoral candidate whose plot line didn't really get fleshed out that much. Also, I will say that his final plan, when he explains it, was really well thought out. If they had told us any of this information beforehand, that when he exploded those vans, it would flood the thing, and then people would force to be rushed to the place that he wanted them to be. So like he had thought it out. The problem is they don't introduce any of that until he's explaining.
Which is weird because they spend so much time discussing the politics of Gotham that you would think that they would have someone like, maybe there, correct me if I'm wrong, but is there a throwaway line in any of the political jargon that's happening in the debates in the beginning?
And we need to fix the levies.
Exactly. Like, I mean, that's kind of what you need to do to like set something like that up. And then it's like, don't you understand their shortcomings and their corruption have led to this? Like, it would have some sort of purpose. It doesn't at all. And then also his like great sacrifice at the end is like cutting the cable so people didn't
Which
get
he didn't even have to
electrocuted.
do. He could have cut it lower.
He could have cut it anywhere,
That
but
was
like even him,
that was so strange.
and it was played like "Goodbye, Batman. You saved our city," but he just falls into a bunch of water. Like it was probably
he
fun.
yells like he gets shocked. He yells,
yeah.
but he's
But it was like
he doesn't pass out.
it just felt confusing. It felt like they were trying to refine what that movie was for the entire second half, and they never did. But again, I cannot emphasize enough how much I loved the first half, and then thought, even though plotted wise it was bad, it was still well made. The pieces were well made and still had the same actors that I started loving in the first half and the second half. So again, it overall made me a movie that I like a lot. So I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, that I loved almost all of the pieces. I just did not like the way that they were put together for the most part. I thought it was at least an hour too long. I mean, if it's trying to be 7, which 7's a pretty, like, as far as, very creepy thrillers go, you can't do much better than 7. 2 hours. It's a 2-hour movie.
They did it.
Very well paced.
Somehow they did it.
Perfectly paced for that kind of thing. Like, kind of a similar, like, subversion at the end thing, but this one was like, in 7, you're like, holy shit. And this one, you're like, wait.
Yeah.
What? So there's a flood and then there's what is happening? What is going on?
Similarly with 7 too. I mean, you have to remember they don't solve 7 either.
Yeah.
But the reveal, they're like the reveal when he comes in at the end of 7 is like, oh fuck, like they weren't even gonna get, like he did it, like he just turned himself in. Like it's way better payoff than what this was, which is we got a call. Woman said a guy tripped coming down the fire, and now he's getting a coffee. It's like, was his plan to be seen?
He could have just like it would have been creepier had he just called.
He called it,
or maybe they were just like, that's too much like 7. Or maybe the old lady is him doing an old lady voice.
I think it was his plan. One thing, by the way, just about that is,
that was definitely his plan. Yeah,
it's so fucking dumb, the reveal where they pan up and they show his latte as a question mark in the frothy milk.
What was that? That was so dumb. I mean, whatever. Who cares?
My point from earlier that I didn't get to expand on with the stakes is that in the early game of the movie, the stakes feel, even though they're like a mayoral candidate, the commissioner, the police commissioner, they feel very intimate. You know, they feel like a smaller group of stakes that apply to a certain select group of people. Whereas right at the end, almost instantaneously, it feels like the stakes are the whole city of Gotham is fucked if this thing doesn't happen.
Yeah, but go ahead.
That's it. I just feel like I wish they had stayed on a scope of what the stakes were supposed to be.
Yeah.
And I agreed with you of that, including the Waynes in that, like, they're like, these people suck. Like, you didn't need to fucking get him in there. It could have been fine. He was already invested. I was invested.
It was close too, because like the stakes obviously, oh no, the mayor has been killed. And now the mayor's friend, who is of some sort of political hierarchy, is killed. And like the DA is killed. You're like, okay, there's something happening here. But then they also touch on the fact that like all these people were supposed to support this plan. Like there's a thing where you can see how keeping these people alive still does protect the people of Gotham without, because otherwise you don't care. I don't know. I thought it was a great setup that Batman has to go and like help these rich people that have all the power in the world but can't protect themselves from this guy with a dull weapon. Yeah. Right? That's such a great starting point, but then it completely fumbles everything. And then even at the end, we're like, no, just everyone at Gotham is in trouble. But mostly just the people that were here invited to be for the inauguration of the new mayor who won by default. You know, like, I don't know.
I thought it was a great movie. Also, the Joker's there at the end. All right, thanks everybody.
We forgot to mention that. That was probably
that was so
Just skip it.
The worst part of that. Cut that scene.
The
Ryan,
Joker,
I agree with you.
Thank you. Finally.
The Joker being there at the end was so fucking dumb. Also,
it's not even the best Joker, Jared.
Jared's the Joker. He's our man.
Can we all chant Jared Leto and that's how we end it?
No.
No.
Jared Leto. Jared Leto. Jared Leto. Thank you so much.
More BS.
We'll be back.
More BS.
Next week.
More BS.
We love you.
More BS.